The loss of a loved one is one of the most profound emotional experiences. We are often overcome with grief, confusion, and a deep sense of emptiness. Questions about the fate of the departed naturally arise. Where are they? Do they live on? Or is there nothing after death? These emotions and questions challenge our understanding of life, death, and what comes after. In the wake of loss, many ask, do the dead remain in some form of existence? Is there a heaven or hell? Are we reunited with our loved ones after death? What happens to the consciousness of the dead? General views of death and where the dead are one. Philosophical perspective. Plato's idea of death centers on the belief that the soul is immortal and separate from the body. According to Plato, death occurs when the soul is released from the body, which he views as a temporary vessel. The soul, being eternal and divine, is not subject to decay like the body. After death, the soul enters a realm of pure thought, where it can contemplate the eternal truths and ideas, free from the limitations of the body. For Plato, death is not an end, but a transition to a higher state of existence for the soul. 2. Religious perspective. The common thread across various religious views of death is the belief in an existence beyond physical death. In most traditions, death is not seen as the end, but as a transition to another state of being, whether it is an afterlife, reincarnation, or spiritual continuation. Central to these beliefs is the idea that the soul or spirit continues after death, with its fate determined by the individual's actions, moral choices, or spiritual development during life. Many traditions emphasize judgment or spiritual purification, where the soul's future is shaped by its earthly existence, underscoring the importance of righteous living, moral behavior, and spiritual growth. 3. Common thread in all perspectives. Both Plato's view and religious perspectives share the belief that death is a transition, not an end. They view death as the separation of the soul from the body, with the soul continuing its existence in another realm. The soul's fate is shaped by its earthly actions or nature, whether it is freed to pursue higher truths, judged for its deeds, or reborn. In both cases, death is seen as a passage to a different state, with the soul's condition at the time of death determining its future. 4th, scientific perspective of death and the condition of the dead. From a scientific standpoint, death is the cessation of biological functions that sustain life. The body ceases to function, and the consciousness, if viewed as a product of brain activity, ends. There is no scientific evidence for life after death or the continuation of consciousness beyond the physical body. The body returns to the earth, decomposing and breaking down into elements. Biblical view of death and where the dead are. The biblical view of death presents it as the cessation of life, consciousness, and activity. Several scriptures emphasize this understanding. Ecclesiastes 9:5. For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing. They have no further reward, and even their name is forgotten. This shows that death results in the cessation of awareness and thought, and the dead have no further existence in the world of the living. Ecclesiastes 9:10. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might, for in the realm of the dead where you are going, there is neither working, nor planning, nor knowledge, nor wisdom. This reinforces that in death, there is no activity, thought, or participation in life's endeavors. Genesis 3:19. By the sweat of your brow you will eat your food until you return to the ground, since from it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you will return. This highlights that death is a return to the earth, symbolizing non-existence and the end of conscious life. Psalms 146, 3-4. Do not put your trust in princes, in human beings, who cannot save. When their spirit departs, they return to the ground. On that very day their plans come to nothing. This passage describes how, at death, the spirit departs and the person returns to the earth, with all their thoughts and plans ceasing. Ecclesiastes 3:19-20. Surely the fate of human beings is like that of the animals. The same fate awaits them both. As one dies, so dies the other. All have the same breath. Humans have no advantage over animals. Everything is meaningless. All go to the same place. All come from dust, and to dust all return. This analogy between humans and animals reinforces the idea that both share the same fate in death, returning to the earth, with no further existence beyond it. What Jesus Christ taught 1 John 11:11-14. Jesus compares death to sleep, emphasizing the unconsciousness of death. Just as one awakens from sleep, so too can the dead be awakened. This aligns with Ecclesiastes 9:5, where death is described as a state of unconsciousness. 2 John 5:28 and 29. Do not be amazed at this, for a time is coming when all who are in their graves will hear his voice and come out. Those who have done what is good will rise to live, and those who have done what is evil will rise to be condemned. Jesus states that all who are in the graves will hear his voice and come forth. This confirms that, like Genesis 3:19 teaches, the dead are in the grave awaiting the resurrection. Just as one can be awakened from sleep, the dead will be resurrected in God's appointed time. Bible and science on conditions of the dead. Science and the Bible align in describing the condition of the dead. Unconsciousness. Both agree that death is a state of unconsciousness. The Bible states that the dead know nothing, Ecclesiastes 9:5, and science confirms that brain activity ceases at death. Non-existence. The Bible and science both point to the return of the body to the earth and the cessation of life as non-existence. The soul or life force departs and the body decays. Potential for revival. Both perspectives acknowledge that life can be restored. Science through advanced technology, like brain uploading, cloning, and cryonics, and the Bible through the resurrection by God's power. Questions arising. These questions are often philosophical contradictions that do not arise from the Bible itself. Genesis 2:7 mentioned soul and spirit in creation. Are these the same or different? If a soul or spirit departs at death and can harm the living, why do murder, war, and evil persist? If the soul or spirit goes to hell or heaven at death, how can resurrection happen? The confusion arises from the blending of biblical truths with non-biblical philosophies, such as the Greek idea of the immortal soul. The Bible teaches that humans are not inherently immortal. By distinguishing between biblical teachings and philosophical traditions, we see that the Bible presents a consistent narrative about life, death, and resurrection. These truths reassure us that God's plan is coherent, just, and rooted in his promise to eliminate evil and restore creation to its intended perfection. Soul and spirit. There is significant confusion surrounding the concepts of the soul and spirit, especially when interpreted philosophically. Soul. Philosophical perspective. Many philosophical traditions propose that the soul is embedded into the man, is immortal, and continues after the death of the body, often with an inherent quality separate from the body. Biblical perspective. Genesis 2:7. The Bible teaches that man became a living soul when God breathed into him the breath of life. The soul is not separate from the person, but is the person. When the breath of life departs, the soul, i.e. the person, becomes a dead soul. The soul, the person, is mortal, not immortal. Ezekiel 18:4 and 20. The soul is the person. It is not inherently immortal, but subject to death. Animals as souls. The Bible also refers to animals as souls. Genesis 1:20 and 30, Numbers 31:28, which further emphasizes that the soul is the living being itself, not an immortal entity. Spirit. While some believe the spirit is a separate, immortal entity, the Bible presents the spirit as the breath of life. Genesis 2:7. It is not a conscious being or ghost, but the life force that animates the body. It does not have intelligence or personality, but simply provides life to the body. The spirit departs at death, causing the body to return to the earth and decay. Ecclesiastes 3:19-20. Analogous to electricity, just as electricity powers a device without being part of the device itself, the spirit powers the body without being conscious or immortal. When the electricity is turned off, the device stops working, just as when the spirit departs, the body ceases to function. How then does the spirit return to God? Ecclesiastes 12:7 states that the spirit returns to God who gave it. This doesn't mean that the spirit becomes a ghost or energy hovering around. Rather, it signifies that, just as the power company controls the electricity and can restore it, God, as the source of life, is the one with the power to restore life at the resurrection. The fate of the dead is clear in both biblical teaching and scientific understanding. Death leads to unconsciousness, non-existence, and a return to the earth. The Bible teaches that the dead await resurrection, with their spirit, life force, returning to God. Both the Bible and science agree on the conditions of the dead, unconscious and lifeless. The resurrection is the key hope, with God alone possessing the power to restore life, just as the energy company holds the power to restore electricity. Why do we grow old and die? Is there hope for our dead loved ones? For answers to these questions, check out my other videos. If you would like to learn more and find practical guidance for your spiritual journey, I encourage you to visit jw.org. There, you can read the Bible online, subscribe to their publications, apply for a free home Bible study, or find nearby meetings. Please note that this is not an official or sponsored channel of the organization. I have personally benefited immensely from the resources on jw.org and deeply appreciate the organization's efforts to share Bible-based truth with the world.